Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gateway to the Dimensions. I am Zabe Barnes, and we're here also with Starr Fuentes, who is a master of bringing these higher dimensions from the Mayan curanderos to the world for us to all learn what she got to learn with her teacher, Esperanza. And we're going to be talking today about how do we access these higher dimensions. A lot of you have heard of the fifth dimension. Well, the fifth dimension really, in the Mayan curandera tradition, they saw it as 144 separate dimensions, much like you can look at the whole rainbow and see all of the colors, or you can zero in on one specific color and how many different shades of red are there. And the more that you can be specific, the better the easier it is to direct energy in a very precise way. And so we're going to be talking about the gateway to the dimension. So, Starr, what is a gateway?
A gateway is something that separates spaces, separates dimensions, separates parallel universes. And it's a place where gently and easily you can enter. What I want to talk about how you have to get there to enter. You may be all the light that you need to be. You may know everything you need to know, and you don't recognize the patterns that are holding you back. It's just like making a loaf of bread and putting it in the oven and saying, why didn't this bread rise? You have to take what you know and you have to put it in a warm place, and the dough has to expand and integrate who it is. And some of us can't go to the higher dimensions because we haven't cleared ourselves, and that gate stays shut for us. When we start the process, and not just working on this and this, when we start way inside, deep working on ourselves and moving those pieces, this is when you can go into other dimensions. This is when you can go through doorways and gateways. And this is when you can go into parallel universes.
Thank you, Starr. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to talk to you about the dimensions, and we're going to talk to you about things that you can do to help get that gateway open for yourself. And it's sort of like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Because for some people, we do the deep interpersonal work, and that opens our gate. And other people work with a teacher who already has done all of that and has learned how to master the dimensions. And with that teacher, with those initiations into the higher dimensions from that teacher, the personal work gets cleared out. So it can go either way. The thing is that in order to access the higher dimensions, that personal work has to get done. And Starr, I know in your personal story, if you're willing to share a little bit of it, as I understand, when you first went to Esperanza to spend the time with her, your teacher who taught you these 144 dimensions, when you first went to her, you went with a desire for your own personal healing.
I did. I wanted to learn all these techniques that heal me, make me bigger. And that is not what happened. What happened is I learned techniques for other diseases. I learned techniques to birth children. I haven't had any children, and I ended up birthing 100 children while I was there. I learned that a dimension is just a thought away. And as I sat with Esperanza and I sat with the curanderos of Mexico, I got to be in their presence, and I got the download, much like the download that Zabe and I are giving you today. I got the download, and then Esperanza, one by one, 2 days apart, 3 days apart. She didn't go, here, sit down, we're going to do all 144 dimensions. She'd take me to that dimension, and we'd hang out there. And I was like, Mar, Mar. And she's like, slow down, slow down. And we'd visit these dimensions, or a situation would occur in the village where she'd have to go into another dimension. And I'd move right along with her. For me, what what I get out of it is everything I thought that couldn't happen, that physically was impossible in this world, happened. Everything. She broke every law of physics that I know, and I know a lot of them. And everything that she could be and do was nothing. What I learned in school was nothing that I learned from the books of magic, from Blavatsky, Besant, from all my reading. It was in her very being in her very presence, and not necessarily the words, but boy, did she kick my butt. Not necessarily the words, but it was her presence that taught me. And once you learn the dimensions, no one can take them away from you. They may get a little rusty if you don't use them for 20 years, but this is something that once you're in those dimensions, it's yours. It's yours to.
And once you're in those dimensions, the inner work has to happen. It can't not happen. Once you've been exposed to those dimensions, the clearing process happens. My time with you also was about my own healing, and I came into working with you to heal myself. And again, just like you experienced with Esperanza, I experienced you running the dimensions, being in that energy day after day after day for years, and the clearing that happened. So we can come at it from either way. Either you have to do your deep inner clearing work on your own or with help from somebody else, and through that process you can start gaining access to these other dimensions, or you work with a teacher who knows how to hold the dimensions and introduce you to the dimensions, and through that process, the deep inner clearing happens. But I'm not aware of anybody who can consciously access dimensions without also having done a great deal of the inner work. And the inner work, once it's done, once you're doing it and it's done, then the joy comes into your life. So it's not a horrible, awful, painful process. It's actually an uplifting and an awakening that happens.
I remember once I taught a class on sex and energy. I had this guy, big muscular football player guy, and oh yeah, I'm gonna learn how to do all this stuff. He came in there, and not the first evening, the second day, he was down. He was down. He was on the floor. Oh, and I'm running the dimensions. And he passed a kidney stone. And he said that stone had been in there for 5 years, and he knew it. So I've had people stop smoking. I waved my jacket once at a crowd, and 5 people stopped smoking. I've had things happen in the dimension where I don't necessarily need to seed the energy that all sorts of miracles are going to happen, because that is what the high dimensions are about. That is what happens when we get stuck in a body, when we cannot change something because we don't know that it needs to change, or we're hanging on to something. These things change in the dimension. You know, I've had people have migraine headaches come to dimensional mastery and never have a migraine headache again.
And so once again, for people who are not quite sure what is a dimension, because we didn't really give a clear explanation of it yet. Starr's definition of a dimension is a place in a space where the physical laws cease to exist. So the laws of physics are completely different in these higher dimensions. And some of the things that we've witnessed the saints do, we've witnessed ascended masters do, like walk on water. Jesus walked on water. Jesus also said that what he could do, we all could do. And there's a dimension where it's possible for the water to become hard and for your full weight to be put on top of the water, because it behaves differently. The matter, the substance of water behaves differently when it's in the energy of this higher dimension. The saints, some of them were able to levitate. Joan of Arc was constantly floating up in the air. Again, in these higher dimensions, the physical law of gravity no longer exists. And so all of a sudden, objects that are heavy can now float up. Teleporting, moving a person or an item from one place to another, that can happen in these higher dimensions. And I know, Starr, you've had many of your students comment about how you pop in and all of a sudden they see you in their bedroom or they see you in the class that they're teaching. And I know I remember teaching my very first light language class, and there you were sitting on the sofa in my living room, and one of my students saw you there too. She said, "Who's that woman?" Because she hadn't seen a picture of you yet, and she described you, and it was you sitting there, and then you popped right back out. My students also have that same experience. And what happens is when we start to have these experiences, it completely changes what we think we can do in our lives, because we see that what we always thought was impossible, now it's possible. So I want to ask you, all of you right now, what is it that you think is impossible? And are you ready to let that belief go and open up to higher dimensions where everything changes, including you?
And I bet you there's some people on this very, very time that years ago would not believe that they would have walked on fire and have walked on fire. And
I would have never believed that I would walk on fire.
And when we talk about dimensional mastery, we talk about lifting that feather and levitating that feather, and we talk about walking on water, and we talk about teleporting something, and those things do happen to the people there. But the thing that people say to me after the class is not, "Oh, gee, Starr, I took 17 steps, I walked in," they go, "Oh my God, have I changed?" And my personality. And people have gone home who've been in bad marriages and walked out of them. People have started new businesses. We had a Playboy type guy in one of the class that Zabe was in, and he was a big Playboy, and he loved all the women, and he wanted to get married and have kids. And about a year later, he was married, and his wife was pregnant, and now he has 3 kids. But he was Mr. Playboy. And all those phenomena are there for you. They're there for you to experience. Some people, teleport a seashell. Some people teleport sand. Some people will do a little game where you'll teleport to someplace when you will look and see what clothes somebody's wearing, and you'll give them a call. We'll do all those things. And all those things are dimension-based things. But 30 days, 30 days of guided personal growth. 30 days. I know that anybody can hold on to any bullshit for 3 days. You can pretend to be kind. You can pretend to be nice. But at that third day, you don't get your coffee just right, and there's a big line. Your real person is going to come out. And after 3 days, everything that you've held as an image of who you are won't really matter, because who you are is going to come out, and that's the important part. And we do a lot of work on putting what students together, who you room with, so you can get the most work done. Wait, I'll take that back. Oh, yeah, I took that back.
Well, and
So,
there are days that might be a little challenging, but when you get through that day that was challenging, what's on the other side of it is really unlike anything that you ever could have imagined. That's what happens in under the same roof with the people that come to this class. And I consider a lot of the people who come to do this work to be masters in their own right already. So being in the energy where there's this exchange happening all the time with Starr, with me, but then with all of the other students too. And going deeper, it goes deeper. The clearing, the awareness goes in deeper than anything I've ever seen in
yeah,
this process.
you don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about sleeping. Maybe you got to worry if your swimsuit's dry or not, so you can go use it the
Yeah.
next day. All those things are taken care of. And that 28-day cycle, a full cycle of a moon to be in for you to change is very, very important. And for the first time ever, I'm teaching the angelic dimensions and the coyote dimensions, which I was never ever going to teach the coyote dimensions, and they're the trickster dimensions. And I was never ever going to teach them because they're the trickster dimensions. But I realize that I'm getting late in my years, and as I am growing older, that not so much that you guys can do the trickster dimensions, but so when they're done to other people, you can recognize what is going on. The celestial dimensions with the angels, oh my God. Oh my God. That's all I have to say. I First time I experienced one of those with Esperanza, I was looking up and I saw two white things over my head, and I was kind of doing what we were doing, and I go, "Wow, those are strange colored palm leaves. Those don't feel like palm leaves." Well, do your work, started, and I realized that they were two angel wings up over the top of my head. And I started crying, and there's tears. And if I look up at them, they're going to go away. If I don't look at them, they're going to go away. Finally, I looked up at them, and they were there. And Esperanza opened her eyes, and she went. I went back to doing. So the celestial dimensions are for all you people who love those angels. Those dimensions will um, be very, very empowering for you.
And I want to say something about this because one of the things that has been such a gift in working in the Mayan lineage is the groundedness of everything that we do. And I know there's a lot of work out there, a lot of people working with angels in a way that is very much filled with light, and it's kind of up. It's that up energy. But I know that the Mayan way of working with the angel dimensions is all about bringing it down. And there's a substance to it that we don't get with a lot of the ways that people have been taught to work with angels. And so it's going to be so powerful. It's about embodying, my way of saying it would be, it's about embodying that angelic presence and holding it through you.
Now, I want to talk about something right now. Everybody knows how to drive, right? You get in your car, you stop at the stop signs, you're on your side of the road you're supposed to be on. In some countries, one side, other countries, the other side. You know the laws. Why don't you know the universal laws? Why don't you study the universal laws like we know the traffic laws and how to move through life? You don't know the universal laws and you keep beating your head up against the same wall. You keep repeating the same pattern. Why is not universal laws taught in freshman year in high school? Well, I got a lot of answers to that question. But we're going to study the universal laws. And in this class, we have so many necessary pieces for you to enlighten yourself, to raise your vibration.
And my favorite piece out of the whole thing when I was a student was the universal laws, because it wasn't just about reading about them. Maybe many of you have read versions of universal laws and you have information that's in your head. But the Mayans, there's a whole energy grid, an energy template that goes with learning the universal laws, that you feel it in every cell of your body. It stretches you, it expands you, and the education that comes from that is so much more than just reading it in a book, and it continues to unfold, and it continues to unfold in such a magical way that every single time you go back and read about the laws, you see new things that you will swear were not there before. And there they are, jumping right at you, saying, hey, this is why you got stuck in this place in your life. This is why you're not getting to this goal right here. So it's so much more than just information. It is cellular patterning that happens with the universal laws.
And I want to talk about that patterning. Richard Gordon was here for the Light Language Conference, and he turned 60. And as I watched Richard Gordon prance around the room in his blue jeans and his tie-dyed shirt, I watched him prance around, Richard. And I looked and I said, everybody who I see who's taken dimensional mastery is not showing their age.
That's true. That is actually true.
You look at Selena, or look at Zabe, or look at me. What am I, 76 now? And how old are you now, Zabe?
I'm 51.
And you look at the energy in their face, and I just saw a picture of Gaia on Facebook, and she's 78, 9.
Really? Oh, I would have never
Oh
guessed.
my God. So there's a whole other thing that happens with the download of this dimension. It's kind of like a youthing thing or a preservation thing. I don't know how to call it, what to say about it, but it's interesting noticing that Richard took the Dimensional Mastery in 2002, and I'm looking at the Inga who took Dimensional Mastery in 2002, and I'm looking at those people now, and I'm going, it's how many years? 13? They haven't aged. In fact, they look better.
Yes, yes. And there's another piece that I'm noticing that's happening is, even though we're focused on specific dimensions in dimensional mastery, we introduce all of them. And people are finding their niche within the dimensions, even if they weren't taught the actual technique that the Mayan used for a particular dimension. Maybe we touched on it in class. We gave the download for it, and we didn't do a lot with it during class time. The people whose soul came in to work in that dimension, it's now been opened. That gateway was opened for them, and they discover their way into it on their own as a result of being in that energy for a month. And Richard's one of the people that I would say that happened for, because he does a lot with the planetary God form work. And I know that in your class, in his class, not a lot was spoken about that. Certainly the techniques weren't, that's higher level work, but he has come into doing it.
So when we look back at all the people who participated in Dimensional Mastery, we're seeing wonderful things in their life. We're seeing the youthing part, their ability to move through their stuff. If you're alive, you still got stuff. All your stuff isn't going to be finished after Dimensional Mastery. A great big chunk of it will be, but you'll still have some stuff. So we're seeing a lot of good results besides people going, yeah, okay, I worked in water. The first time is just amazing. I had one not so nice guy. He couldn't walk on water, but he'd get to the middle of the pool, push himself up, and he could stand on water. And he pissed me off because I can't stand on water. I can walk, yeah, if I keep going. I'm right there. And remember that, Zabe?
I do, and I don't do it the same way either. I do it with my hands, and I put my hands on the water and lift up and walk around on my hands on the water.
Now,
And you
Zabe, Zabe.
do that? And I said, yes, I did. So, yeah, I mean, each person finds their way. It really doesn't matter if you do it with your feet, if you do it with your hands, if you're moving, if you're standing still. It's still the same principle being used, and it teaches that so much of what we see as our physical plane reality is just an illusion. And what about ourselves is also illusion, that we can shift and become what we truly want to be.
I want to talk a little bit about Samantha. You guys remember Samantha, Bewitched? You remember Aunt Clara? She would always appear in the closet. She kind of knew magic, but she forgot it. She turned something inside out, upside down. And when you don't have a person who knows the dimensions present them to you, then what happens is you go about in your life looking and experiencing things that are slightly turned. You can hit the dimension, but you can't get where you're going. You can miss the dimension, but something else turns into something else. So having a teacher is very, very important. Zabe, what?
I'm thinking of a woman that used to come to the church, and she started having an experience. She'd come and talk to you, and then she'd go home, and then she would float up off of her chair. I don't know if you remember this woman, but it scared her. It was frightening to her, and because she couldn't control it. And sometimes she wasn't sure how to get back down, and she didn't know how to consciously control that. And that's what the training with the teacher who knows how to teach you the map to the dimensions and how to access them, how to use them, how to direct them in a way that is supportive instead of just frightening. I had an experience where my daughter's friend came over to my house one weekend when I wasn't here, and I came home to see her brand new truck hanging halfway off of my driveway. I have a incline, a very steep driveway, and she had managed to get two wheels of her new truck off of the side of the driveway, and the truck was just kind of dangling there, and it took 3 tow trucks to get the right tow truck before they could lift it. But I sat outside and did the levitation dimension because the tow truck guy was sure that it was going to really damage the car just to even get it out of this position that it was in. And I did that levitation dimension. What a practical way to use it. And that car got lifted up by the truck, but with a little help with the levitation dimension, not a scratch on the car, no damage whatsoever to that car. And so there are times when we can use this in a practical way besides just blowing our mind with what is possible.
Okay, today Zabe would like you to teach you the dimension expansion technique.
Okay, so we did this once before, and if you've done it before with us, please do it again because your answers are going to change, your energies have changed, and this is a technique that you can do over and over again. You're actually going to follow these steps for each of the 7 chakras. And we're going, Starr, do you want to start with the crown chakra or the root chakra today? Last time we started with the root chakra.
Let's start with the crown today.
Okay, yes, that's what I was thinking also. So your crown chakra at the top of your head, which represents your connection to God, spirit, source, whatever your word is for that. I want you to imagine, tune in, close your eyes. And if this chakra were a house, what style house would it be? So visualize, what color would it be? How tall would it be? What kind of roof would it have? Would it have a lot of windows? What style, what construction material would it be made out of? Is it stone? Is it brick? Is it wood? Is it a log house? What do you see as the house that your crown chakra would choose to live in? And as you visualize that, get a sense of how it feels, and maybe even you get a sense of what it might represent. So maybe it's a house that has a ton of windows, lots of light coming in, representing your chakra's desire for more light. Maybe it's a house that's made of stone, representing your crown chakra's desire to be more grounded, perhaps. So tune in and enjoy being there. And now, still considering the top chakra, the crown chakra, if it were going to fix itself a meal, what would it be? What would be its favorite food? Would it be angel food cake? Would it be chocolate cake? I bet Starr's crown chakra might like to eat some chocolate cake, which of course the goddesses love the chocolate cake. What is your chakra's favorite food? And notice, what does that food represent to you? Does it represent sweetness of life? Does it represent protein and fortification and nutrition? What does it represent for you? And now, if your crown chakra were going to go out and get a job, what would be the career that it would choose? What career? So, Starr, what career would your crown chakra choose?
Diplomat.
Diplomat. Very interesting.
You know, between God and the people. Negotiations between God and the people.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So what would your crown chakra, what kind of work would your crown chakra like to do out in the world? And if your crown chakra were going to go on a vacation, where would it like to go that it has not gone before? My crown chakra would like to go deep down into one of those crystal caves in Mexico where they have the big, giant, huge crystals, because there's something about the clarity of those crystals, the size of those crystals, the way they connect energies, but also being in the earth and in the home of where the Mayans were. Where would your crown chakra like to go? And what would your crown chakra most like to share with others? So this might be something that you've already learned in your life about your crown chakra, about working through your crown chakra, that you have already embodied that you would like to share with others. Or it could be something that you are wanting to experience in your own life. And that as you gain that experience, you naturally want to also share it with others because you recognize the value of it. What would your crown chakra most like to share with others? Starr, what is your crown chakra most like?
I'm thinking of a phrase that kind of doesn't make sense, but makes sense. I am God enough instead of good enough. I am God enough.
You have that written on in your office.
It says, "Am I God enough?" That's to question my work, and what my crown chakra says, I am God enough. So that's what my crown chakra is saying to me right now.
And what my crown chakra most wants to share with others is that you are always connected. We are always connected. Good. Okay. And finally, the last question that you're going to ask your crown chakra is, what aspect of the divine would this chakra like to hold? So what aspect of the divine, your crown chakra, which is your connection to the divine already, but a specific aspect of it? And for me, the answer is possibility. I have a statement that I use with my students. I open to the possibility of possibilities. That's everything that we're talking about today, about expanding into the higher dimensions, is opening to new possibilities. That's what my crown chakra would like to hold. Starr, what would your crown chakra most like to hold?
Uh, my crown chakra says it's time for me to go out and play. I need to go out and play. Writing a new book is not play. Doing new charts for a new class is not play. I need that. The divine wants me to play more. So, yes, I will do that this week.
Wonderful. And we're also going to do that in September on the beach in Gulf Shores. Lots of opportunities to play as we also open to the higher dimensions. One of the ways that you taught me to open to the higher dimensions is to play. Not to work so hard, not to work so hard at accessing the dimensions, but to go be in the water, to go play with your friends on the beach. And we will be doing a lot of that. And there is a connection there between yes, with the dolphins, the dolphin energy. That's
dolphins go by every day. Go by this way in the morning and come back, maybe 100 of them. So sometimes we stop class and we all run. We have our bathing suits underneath. And we stop class, take off our clothes. We run and jump in the water with the dolphins during the class.
Yes.
Except for Cedric. But
well, is it except for Cedric that he didn't keep his bathing suit on? Is that what I heard happened?
He got so excited the first time he took off his clothes and ran in the ocean. We were like, wait a minute. Then we ran into the ocean. But it's fun. We'll have lots of fun with the water, the sun, the temperature is really nice. We can get into the water and it'll be about 80 degrees or so till the end of our class. So every day you'll have beach time. You'll have time to go enjoy the water, et cetera, et cetera.
I knew when I was a student in the class, the part of me that was so trained to be in school and to really work and study and all of that, it was a new way of learning for me, because you would sometimes just stop class and say, everybody go swim now. Everybody go, just stop working and go swim. You'll get the dimensions in a deeper way if you stop trying and go and be. And that's so much of it. There's a time to do, there's a time to be. And being in the group energy for 30 days, you're naturally getting it, whether you're studying or not, whether you're taking notes or practicing, you're getting it. So those opportunities of being, I think more teaching happened, possibly as much teaching as occurred. I think the deepest teachings happened in those spaces.
Yes, I agree. And one of the things I want to talk about is for you guys to do the dimensional expansion technique for each one of your chakras. But what I want to talk about right now is we're 3 months out. July, August, September. We're 3 months out before the class. And once you make a commitment, the work starts. I've had people sign up for healing appointments, and by the time the healing appointment came, they were already healed. So once you send your deposit in, the work has already started on you. And I would like to see you get your deposit in so that the work can start on you and the night school can start on you, because this is probably one of the highest vibrational classes being taught on the planet right now. I'm not hearing of anybody else doing the phenomena. I'm not hearing of anybody else doing the amount of clearing. Now you can.
I haven't seen anything like what comes through this class.
There's a lot of places you can go away for the month, and they make you meditate all morning long, and you do this and you dance every night. We're a combination feeding your mind, your heart, but mostly we're going to feed your soul the dimensions. You will be 76 like me someday, and you will have all the dimensions to present and have experienced many, many things that people call a mystery will become a reality to you.
And not only a reality, but it will become such an everyday thing that you won't even remember what it was like before it was such a normal part of your life. And what happens is we end up stuck on the fence sometimes where we could go one way or we could go the other way. And when we make the commitment and we say yes, you can say, yes, I'm not sure how it's going to manifest, but yes, I'm there. Every student that I've ever had who takes that approach, when they say, yes, I'm absolutely there, the things happen in their lives that unfold so that they actually are there. But there's a disempowerment that happens when we stay stuck on the fence of, well, I don't know if this happens, if that happens, maybe, da, da, da. We stay stuck in maybe. And I want to hold the space. Starr and I are holding the space to stretch you into the higher dimensions and to get that gateway open for you. Open for you to say yes. Open for you to make a choice. As soon as you make that choice, then the things can start happening in your life that supports the choice that you just made. So do you have the curiosity inside of yourself? Do you have the desire to find out what are you capable of? Do you have the desire to discover all of the hidden light that's in you that you have no idea is waiting to come out and shine in multiple dimensions? Say yes to it.
Okay, and I'm all I'm going to say is I'm reaching that point where I'm teaching less and less and less, and this may be the last time that I teach dimensional mastery. I have some pretty good teachers out there now, and I'm still looking for that man. I'm still looking for that male to become a teacher. We yet are to have a male dimensional master teacher. Looking for somebody who's wanting to take that on. Is there anything you want to say before we close, Zabe? Um,
I
did,
want to say that you all can do this. All of you can open that gateway and step into these higher dimensions. Every single one of you has it in you to do this work. And I want you to hold on to knowing that that is the truth. And the question is, are you ready now? Because you are ready. If you have the desire, you're ready.
I'm welcoming you all to deep and profound consideration and encouraging you to finish the dimensional expansion technique with all of your chakras. If you have any questions, any preferences, or anything like that, call Zabe or I. Will be glad to answer and ask questions to get you going. I want to say thank you all for participating.
And thank you, Starr. Thank you for sharing all of your wisdom. Thank you for bringing this information to all of us, for bringing these possibilities to the world. Thank you.
In the last dimensional mastery class, about midnight, I'd sneak down into the living room where the class was taught. There'd be 5 or 6 people sitting down there. They couldn't sleep, and I tell Starr stories. I tell stories about my teachers and how I got into trouble and what my ego did that I learned not to do. Um, so I'm looking forward to dimensional mastery. Thank you, everybody. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye-bye.